Blake Lively developed some feelings for for Justin Baldoni. Ryan Reynolds is now abusing his wife. That's scary. That's narcissism.
Ryan Reynolds is having a full-blown meltdown right now after discovering that Blake had actual feelings for Baldoni from the very start.
He's basically saying, I will burn down my entire house. I will burn down your career.
And honestly, it's gotta sting realizing your wife was crushing on someone else the entire time. But hey, maybe Ryan should take a good look in the mirror too.
Is Blake Lively a beard? Like, is she there just to produce kids and to give him that family image?
I'm not saying Blake's an angel or a saint. She's definitely got her own issues. But come on. It's no surprise a woman in a beard or abusive marriage isn't exactly living her best life.
They're constantly making gay jokes, trying to kiss each other on camera.
No matter how picture perfect Ryan and Blake seemed, they had some real issues. Definitely not the kind you argue about over who's doing the dishes.
What we are observing is essentially a ticking time bomb, a timer on Ryan Reynolds' ego.
Like, just imagine how heavy it must be living with a man who's been exposed as possibly gay. Yeah, that's probably why, even after 8 years of marriage, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's relationship was way more than just a professional one.
Blake Lively has nothing to do with what is happening. Her husband has come undone. Blake Lively developed some feelings for Justin Baldoni.
While filming It Ends With Us, a deep emotional bond developed between them, suggesting that Lively's feelings went far beyond what was required for their roles.
Has happened to her. She has, been in love with Penn Badgley from, Gossip Girl, then she got with Ryan Reynolds.
This emotional affair, although not widely discussed at first, quickly became a major point of contention once it came to light. What initially seemed like just another Hollywood romance was later revealed to be far more complicated, adding layers of betrayal, insecurity, and a messy legal battle to the mix.
All these people, they're on set, and their job is to sell that they're falling in love. And a lot of times, as we see with actors and actresses, it actually happens. And there's no question in my mind that Blake Lively caught real feelings for Justin Baldoni.
And wait, if you think I'm just making this up on my own, think again. In the documentary, He Said, She Said, Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni, which aired on Monday, Mia Schachter straight up pointed out that the former co-workers had what felt like a friendship before Blake accused him of sexual harassment, which, of course, he denies.
He claims civil extortion, defamation, and that all of this really is about her wanting to have control of the movie.
While she asserted that Baldoni crossed certain boundaries, those who have closely followed the case suggest that what really transpired was an emotional affair.
This isn't just a fluffy celebrity feud. The actual story is, I think, a lot darker and a lot more complex than that.
Lively wasn't necessarily a victim of harassment. Instead, she was a woman who had caught real feelings for her co-star, something that seemed to catch both Baldoni and Reynolds by surprise.
The thing is why I say this is not a real lawsuit, and Ryan Reynolds knows this, is because he's got everything on camera, okay?
The lawsuit that followed, with all its legal wrangling, is, in many ways, the aftermath of this emotional connection, an affair that spiraled into something far messier than anyone could have imagined.
He says, this whole idea is like a sexual harassment. She invited him to her penthouse and he was holding her baby. The guy that sexually you're not having him to your house and letting him hold your kids.
As the details of their relationship started to surface, it quickly became clear that Ryan Reynolds' role in all of this was far from passive. The media frenzy surrounding the case wasn't just about Blake Lively's allegations or Justin Baldoni's response. It was driven by Reynolds' insecurities.
What is happening now, in my view, is Ryan Reynolds is now abusing his wife.
Once Reynolds discovered his wife's emotional attachment to Baldoni, he became consumed with the idea that his perfect family image was at risk. This emotional connection, which was so innocent for Lively, felt like a betrayal to Reynolds, leading him to lash out in a way that many would argue was disproportionate.
He's using, this is like litigation abuse. He is trying to inflict pain again, this is my perspective, pain and punishment, because he has come undone, realizing that she had some sort of like an emotional affair with Justin Baldoni.
Reynolds' role in the drama was clear from the start. He became the engine behind the lawsuit. While the public focused on the harassment allegations, many experts and insiders believe the real motivation behind the legal battle was Ryan's ego.
The way this lawsuit describes is like they were riding into the night together. She was like laughing until she was crying. And again, he's got this on camera, the way that he just dropped that scene on camera. So Ryan knows that there is...
He couldn't handle the idea that his wife, Blake, might have fallen for someone else while they were together. This sense of ownership and possessiveness drove him to take extreme measures, using the lawsuit as a tool to regain control.
Everything that's being claimed here is easily disputed.
Instead of seeing it as a genuine case of harassment, Reynolds used the legal conflict to send a message to both Baldoni and Lively. He would not tolerate anyone threatening the perfect facade of his life.
And the fact that Ryan is now trying to get a gag order as opposed to ending the lawsuit.
The way Reynolds has handled this entire situation suggests that his primary concern wasn't justice or even truth. It was maintaining his control over his wife and his carefully constructed public image.
Means that he has not yet come to terms with his ego. That's scary. That's narcissism, right? Like that is not a relationship you want to be in, because he's basically saying, I will burn down my entire house.
The lawsuit became a way for him to exact punishment on both Lively and Baldoni, as if erasing the emotional affair could somehow restore the balance of power in his relationship.
I will burn down your career, and I will burn down my career, and I will also inflict pain upon our children.
What's even more alarming is that Reynolds' need for control didn't stop with the legal conflict. His actions in the public eye have been equally manipulative. Reynolds has been portrayed as the loving, protective husband, but behind the scenes, his possessiveness seems to have been a constant strain on his marriage.
He can't win it. This is an unwinnable lawsuit. The biggest loser in all this, by the way, is the New York Times. Like, how stupid. I mean, it must have been a phone call. They have to settle this. There's no way that he lost things. Justin Baldoni has real damages.
His need to control how Blake is perceived, both in the media and within their marriage, has been unsettling. The fact that Reynolds is willing to risk everything, his career, his public image, and even his marriage, just to maintain control over Blake, speaks to the extent of his insecurities.
To make sure that Justin Baldoni could never work in Hollywood again, that person was Ryan Reynolds, okay?
And hey, rest assured, Blake Lively is not entirely innocent in this saga. But to pin all the blame on her is unfair. While she may have contributed to the emotional affair with Baldoni, it is clear that Reynolds' manipulative tactics are at the heart of this entire ordeal.
And I am not a Blake Lively fan. I think this snowballed and it spiraled, and she basically just had to let her husband, whatever it was that he saw, and he finally caught on to this quote unquote emotional affair. Again, I'm giving my opinion, having now read the documents. It sent him into a kind of rage.
Candace Owens has never been one to hold back, and her analysis of the drama between Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni is no exception. Owens argues that the entire lawsuit surrounding Lively's emotional affair with Baldoni isn't what it appears to be.
Because all I care about is harming Justin Baldoni, as opposed to maybe trying to work through whatever it was in your relationship.
While many see the legal battle as an attempt by Lively to reclaim control of her narrative, Owens insists that Ryan Reynolds is the true architect behind the entire situation. According to Owens, Reynolds is using the lawsuit not to protect his wife or defend his family, but to feed his own ego.
To catching feelings for Justin Baldoni, because that's what happened here. She caught feelings for it. She was never, in my view, sexually harassed. None of this happened, and they were getting close. That's what happened, and Ryan flipped a switch.
She believes that the primary target of this lawsuit is not Blake Lively, but Justin Baldoni, and Reynolds' manipulative actions are all about destroying Baldoni's career. Owens paints a picture of Ryan Reynolds as someone who is deeply insecure and willing to do anything to preserve his image, even if it means destroying others in the process. She claims that Reynolds orchestrated much of the media frenzy, using outlets like the New York Times to push a narrative that aligns with his own insecurities.
They avoided every fact. That means they gave Justin Baldoni hours to respond, and yet he had film that could have disputed, and they didn't give him the time to produce that. They hit send on it because they were doing someone a favor, okay?
The article in question, which criticized Baldoni, became the cornerstone of Reynolds' public relations strategy, with Owens revealing that Reynolds' team was behind much of the smear campaign that tarnished Baldoni's reputation. The manipulation of the media to control the public perception of Baldoni's involvement with Lively is, according to Owens, not a coincidence, but a deliberate move to destroy Baldoni's career and protect Reynolds' fragile ego.
Very concerned for the circumstance that Blake Lively.
Owens also suggests that Reynolds' motivations extend far beyond the immediate legal conflict. She argues that his actions stem from a deep emotional insecurity, one that goes back to unresolved personal issues he's never addressed.
But the focus has now come on to Ryan Reynolds. And I wanted to play that clip because I started to do research, digging more and more into Ryan Reynolds. And it is very disturbing how he treats his wife. Now,
the lawsuit, then, isn't just about protecting Blake or clearing her name. It's about masking Reynolds' own vulnerabilities. His public persona, built around the charming, witty actor everyone loves, is far from the reality of his private life. Owens hints that Reynolds may be trying to cover up something deeper, suggesting that his actions are driven not by love for Blake, but by an attempt to exert control over a life he can no longer maintain.
Blake Lively, in my opinion, is no victim. It has been shown over and over that she is a terrible person. She is a bully. She appears to be a raging narcissist. I mean, there is enough out there to show that she deserves no sympathy.
The real question here is why Blake Lively, an accomplished actress and seemingly perfect wife, would fall for someone like Justin Baldoni, a co-star she barely knew before filming It Ends With Us. The answer, according to some observers, lies in a long-standing pattern of Blake's emotional attachments to the men she works with.
And she went along with her husband to do all of the things that they've tried to do to destroy Justin Baldoni. But what Candace hit on in terms of he doesn't care if he destroys his wife. He doesn't care if he harms his children. He doesn't care. This man is focused on his ego.
From her relationship with Ben Affleck during the filming of The Town, to her deep connection with Penn Badgley on Gossip Girl, Blake has a history of developing strong emotional bonds with her co-stars. This was a pattern of behavior that has emerged throughout her career, suggesting that her emotional connections are closely tied to the professional relationships she cultivates on set.
And everything that he says about his wife publicly is absolutely humiliating. People have taken it as jokes. And I played a clip in the beginning before that. This man is near 50. And this is the type of things that he's saying and doing to his wife, but it gets worse. And I plan to uncover all of these receipts.
Blake's emotional affair with Justin Baldoni, then, is not an anomaly. It's part of a broader trend in her life. But what makes this situation unique is the context in which it unfolded. Blake was married to Ryan Reynolds at the time, a man whose public persona as a devoted family man seemed unshakable.
Why would he hate his wife so much? If my husband talked to me or made these jokes about me publicly, I just can't even imagine.
Yet behind the scenes, Blake was apparently living in a marriage that didn't meet her emotional needs.
Is Blake Lively a beard? Like, is she there just to produce kids and to give him that family image? Because once you start to add it all up, that's the picture I see.
Her role, according to some, was that of a beard. A woman who is used to create the illusion of a perfect family while her husband may be exploring his own personal desires and possibly even wrestling with aspects of his sexuality.
And I don't think he's jealous. I think he's possessive because she's his property.
The theory that Blake was treated as a beard is not new. but it gains traction when we consider the dynamics of her relationship with Reynolds. There has always been a sense that something wasn't quite right with their marriage, despite their outward appearances. Blake, often in the public eye with Reynolds, seemed to play the role of the perfect wife, supporting him at award shows and in the media.
I called from the beginning that Blake Lively was lying. I knew that this was another fake Me Too. I knew she was Amber Heard 2.0. I said it from day one since I heard about this case. So do not take this as I think, oh, you know, she's some poor victim and men are bad and Ryan Reynolds is bad. No, we're talking about this particular case.
But her relationship with Baldoni revealed a stark contrast. Here was a man who treated her with real affection, making her feel valued and understood in ways that Reynolds seemingly couldn't. This emotional connection, while it wasn't physically sexual, spoke volumes about the nature of Blake's relationship with Reynolds.
I wanted to fulfill not just, the evidence that he doesn't care. Why?
Blake's feelings for Baldoni, however, were not just about finding someone to share her emotions with. They were also a response to being in a marriage that was perhaps more about maintaining an image than actual emotional intimacy. The public's perception of Blake and Reynolds as the it couple masked a deeper, more complex reality.
Doesn't he care? And why does he gush about his love for Hugh Jackman more than he does his own wife?
Blake had spent years in a marriage where she was expected to be the perfect wife, mother, and Hollywood star. But when she met Justin Baldoni, she found someone who didn't see her as a symbol, but as a person. Someone who saw her emotional needs and didn't treat her like a mere accessory to his public life. Ryan Reynolds had always been able to manage his public image with precision, and the idea that Blake had found someone who made her feel something real was a direct threat to his power. His response then was to attack.
That he says about Hugh Jackman is like, he gushes about him, gushes about his love for him in a way I had never seen him do for his wife. It is weird.
The lawsuit, the media manipulation, and the smear campaign against Baldoni weren't just about defending Blake's honor. They were about restoring Reynolds' control over a situation he couldn't comprehend or control. Blake's feelings for Baldoni, then, weren't just a side effect of Hollywood. They were a manifestation of her deep dissatisfaction with a life that had been largely orchestrated by someone else.
Deadpool and Wolverine co-stars Ryan Reynolds, 47, and Hugh Jackman, 55. These are middle-aged, grown men, not high school, not college boys playing around, okay? Old men, essentially. Not old, but grown. Shared how their 17-year friendship is similar to a marriage.
Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman have always had a playful, brotherly relationship that has entertained fans for years. However, a closer look at their interactions paints a picture of something much more complex. While Reynolds has made no secret of his admiration for Jackman, the way he speaks about him contrasts sharply with the cold public persona he projects about his own wife, Blake Lively.
Is this what 47 and 55-year-old men, do you feel as though, even with friends you do business with, that your friendship is like a marriage?
It's not just that Reynolds and Jackman joke around or engage in friendly banter. There's a noticeable depth to their affection that makes you wonder if their connection runs deeper than just friendship.
I've never heard or seen any man talk like that, ever.
Reynolds has often gushed about Jackman, calling him a true gentleman, and saying that he's one of the nicest people he's ever met. But it's more than just polite compliments. There's a genuine affection in his tone when speaking about Jackman, a warmth that's not as easily evident in his comments about Lively.
Reynolds has been married to Blake Lively since 2012, while Jackman recently split from his wife of 27 years, Deborah Lee Furness. And I forgot my point earlier. There have been rumors of Hugh Jackman liking men for years.
Reynolds has made affectionate remarks about Jackman that have gone beyond typical friendship, suggesting a bond that's stronger, perhaps, than most men would have with their friends.
Something is bizarre. And we already know how it goes on in Hollywood, where you have to pay to play.
For instance, Reynolds once remarked that Jackman was the best part of his career, and that their friendship means the world to him. These comments are not just expressions of admiration. They imply a level of emotional connection that is not commonly associated with just friendship.
I think the secret sauce to a long-lasting Hollywood friendship is not too dissimilar to having a partner or a marriage, Reynolds told Jackman during their interview.
What makes this dynamic even more intriguing is how Reynolds talks about Lively. His public statements about her have often been reserved, even somewhat detached, especially compared to his remarks about Jackman. The contrast between how Reynolds speaks about Jackman and his wife has fueled speculation that his relationship with Jackman is more than what meets the eye.
I am genuinely rooting for you all the time. I want you to win. It's the same way I feel about Blake. As I'm rooting for her, I know she's rooting for me, and that's why we're so connected.
They've shared numerous intimate jokes over the years, and Reynolds has playfully referred to Jackman as his bromance, even making tongue-in-cheek comments about the intimacy between them. Their interactions are filled with flirtatious undertones, making many wonder if there's something deeper going on.
That's what men do? That's what y'all do? Okay.
The public's growing curiosity about Reynolds' sexuality isn't just due to the flirtatious nature of his interactions with Jackman. It's also about the way he behaves around his wife, Blake Lively. While Reynolds projects an image of a loving husband and father, his public persona towards Lively is often cold, even dismissive. In contrast, his relationship with Jackman is full of warmth, affection, and a level of openness that is rarely, if ever, seen with his wife.
Jackman first met Reynolds shortly before the younger actor debuted his version of Deadpool in 2008's X-Men Origins, Wolverine. Reynolds recalled Jackman welcoming him with open arms, and the two have been inseparable since.
This contrast has led some to speculate that Reynolds might be in denial about his true feelings, which could be playing a significant role in the ongoing drama with Lively and Baldoni. His relationship with Jackman becomes crucial to understanding Reynolds' emotional struggles and hints at deeper issues that go beyond the surface-level conflict with Lively.
I was nervous as hell, Reynolds remembered. I was walking through the trailers, jet-lagged, disoriented, feeling really green and kind of out of my depth. And I heard my name, Ryan, in between these trailers as I was walking, and it was you.
This dynamic between Reynolds and Jackman serves as a lens through which we can view Reynolds' actions in the legal and media war involving his wife and Justin Baldoni. It suggests that Reynolds may be using his marriage to Blake Lively as a facade, a way to hide his true feelings or desires. Lively, in this scenario, becomes a pawn in Reynolds' attempt to maintain control over his image and personal life.
Just the fact that you knew my name meant so much to me. And you came over, you gave me a big hug, and you said, "Welcome aboard."
But it also raises questions about how much of Reynolds' behavior is driven by his internal conflicts. His possessive actions towards Lively and his unrelenting pursuit of Baldoni might stem not from a desire to protect his family, but from a desperate need to hold on to a constructed image that no longer fits.
But it's not normal behavior. It's not normal thinking.
Now, turning to Blake Lively's role in this narrative, there's a significant gap between the way she's portrayed in the media and her true involvement in the saga. While many see her as a victim caught in the crossfire of Reynolds' insecurities, Candace Owens argues that Lively is more complicit than most people realize.
This sounds like he called my name, and I was like, oh my gosh. That's what we doing?
Owens believes that Lively's emotional affair with Baldoni is a key part of the drama, and it's not just a simple case of a wife being manipulated by her husband. In Owens' view, Lively was actively involved in the emotional affair with Baldoni, and this complicates the narrative of her being a victim.
However, Jackman reported their friendship has taken on new dimensions in the last few years. He and Reynolds now turn to each other for tough advice and to share their deepest fears.
Lively's emotional attachment to Baldoni is not something that happened overnight. The connection between them grew over the course of filming It Ends With Us, And as the relationship deepened, it became clear that Lively was emotionally invested. While Reynolds may have viewed it as a betrayal, Lively's feelings were not just about infidelity. They were about finding someone who made her feel valued and seen, something she may have felt was lacking in her marriage to Reynolds.
Because you're an unbelievable listener, Jackman said. So you can tell me anything, and I can tell you anything. And I don't feel like you're going to be judging or necessarily giving me the answer. Do this, and I think that has been the key.
In this sense, Blake is not just a passive figure caught in the legal and media battle. She is actively participating in the emotional drama that unfolded between her, Reynolds, and Baldoni. What makes this even more complex is that Blake Lively's public persona as a victim contrasts sharply with her private life. On one hand, she is presented as a wife who is simply trying to get back to her family's perfect image after an emotional affair.
There's probably fewer friends in our life that you can say anything to. The stuff you're ashamed, embarrassed, anything. He has never said this about his wife. But he can share all his secrets. It essentially looks like pillow talk to me.
On the other hand, her actions with Baldoni speak to a deeper longing and emotional need that was unfulfilled in her marriage. This duality adds layers to her role in the entire saga. While she may not have instigated the legal battle or been the aggressor in the conflict with Baldoni, her emotional involvement in the affair complicates her victimhood narrative. Blake's emotional affair with Baldoni is not just about her relationship with Reynolds. It's also about the larger betrayal that is being played out in the public eye. Her connection to Baldoni becomes more significant than Reynolds' accusations of harassment.
Something's not right. They're constantly making gay jokes. I mean, standing in front of Ryan Reynolds to put his, Hugh Jackman to put his behind in his crotch. I mean, trying to kiss each other on camera.
In the context of the legal and media battle, the affair is framed as an act of rebellion against Reynolds' controlling behavior. It's clear that Lively wasn't just reacting to the actions of others. She was making a choice, albeit one rooted in deep emotional dissatisfaction. This emotional betrayal adds a layer of complexity to the already tangled web of personal and public conflict surrounding the couple. So now you know why it was Baldoni she fell for. And if you think that's the real reason, hit the comments with your thoughts.